Live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College, it's the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast, where we inform and inspire Gen Z to become even more entrepreneurial and innovative in our global economy. I'm your host, Julie Sampson, Director of the Scheinfeld Center. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today to create livelihoods that matter, be our own boss, and make the world an even better place. And so today in this episode, we're continuing our inquiry on how to create positive impact through business. This is relevant because Gen Z is passionate about creating positive impact in the world, and that includes developing climate-friendly, environmentally sustainable transportation. And our e-bikes or electric bikes, they're the top-selling electric vehicle in a rapidly growing and evolving industry. And industry growth means that there's entrepreneurial opportunities. So let's take a look at this young and evolving industry, some of the entrepreneurial opportunities therein, as we examine the overall impact of e-bikes on the environment, our communities, and our health. And joining us to break it all down is Jessie Rosenberg, who has found her passion building bike share programs across the U.S. She's currently leading the charge to bring the electric bike share movement to the seaside community of Santa Barbara through the company Santa Barbara B-Cycle. So Jessie, thank you so much for being with us and welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Julie, for having me, and really excited to get to know all of you.
First things first, let's get everybody on the same page. What are e-bikes, and tell us how they work?
Yeah, so e-bikes are throttle and pedal assist bikes. So right now, B-Cycle has brought to you with Bosch a 250 electric watt electric bike. Now, those are also pedal assist bikes. The difference between a pedal assist bike and electric bike is that pedal assist, you're just, riding around, there's no power. With the e-bike, you have an entire Bosch battery, in our case, a Bosch battery backed by the bike. And once you start riding, you will feel a drift and you'll feel speed and you'll be able to just go up those hills without any sweat and have a blast. It's really to make biking more accessible to every demographic and generation.
So how does the charging work with the e-bike?
Specifically with B-Cycle, we have electric battery powered docks and we have electric bikes. Now, the misconception behind our docks do not charge the e-bikes. Our e-bikes have a separate battery, and my entire team, once the battery gets below 60% or 3 bars, my team goes out and swaps those batteries, and those batteries are charged in-house in our shop in their own electrical room. So they are housed and safe and protected. And we have an internal system that monitors the battery levels within the bikes all over the Santa Barbara community. Yeah, so it's 17 miles, up to 17 miles per hour. Of course, you can go slower. You can turn off the charge at any time. So if you just want to ride without the charge and get more of a workout, you can turn off the e-bike battery. And the bikes go up to 30 miles with a full charge. So after 30 miles, roughly around 30 to 40 miles, depending on how fast, how high you're going with the incline, that's when the battery will need to be swapped. It's serving a demographic of even older people who normally would not use a regular pedal bike. So there you have more of an expansion of accessibility. It's fun. It's more of an enjoyable activity. You'll see more groups of people with their friends. Corporations do team events with e-bikes because it's just a fun extra activity. E-bikes are great for commuting, with the impact of e-bikes and getting people out of cars and onto bikes. More people are now switching from cars to e-bikes to commute to work.
I think part of what can deter somebody from riding a regular bike to work is that they don't want to arrive sweaty when they have a whole work day ahead of them. They might have a bunch of things that they need to carry with them. And so it can just become like such a hassle to do day after day. And I think e-bikes kind of eases that up a bit.
You're outside too. So the level of happiness and endorphins you get from riding an e-bike, commuting to an interview and crushing that interview versus driving in your car makes such a big difference. So I would say mentally and physically, it's just healthier and gives you that positive mindset.
Because it's more enjoyable and kind of more conducive to, broad applications like going to work. I think that consistency can add to the health effects as well. Let's get into Santa Barbara B-Cycle. So tell us about the bike share system, your motivation to lead the company, and why you want to create this e-bike movement in Santa Barbara.
So I actually was in Boston formerly, just got out of business school in 2019 and found the micromobility industry through a startup company called Zaxter. And I traveled all across the world producing and procuring pedal bike programs, e-bike programs, and e-scooter programs for universities, cities, and municipalities, and luxury real estate developments. And I fell in love. It was so much fun. I have been an athlete my entire life. I'm a big marathoner. And once I found cycling to cross train, I realized that I could, marry the two of passion and interest level of working out, and then also driving my career in terms of becoming an entrepreneur. This industry is relatively new. It's been going on actually in Paris and China for decades before the US. I would say it's 10 years old. That's very young for an industry that is changing the game, that is adding to the environment and really sustainable factors to what will eventually happen in our world today. So it's really exciting. And, I have family here in Montecito and came out here to quarantine for a bit. And this opportunity came up to launch the electric bike share program. Now, this is the first citywide bike share program in Santa Barbara. And so when I knew that I could lead the reins of that and really make a difference, impact and making a difference are a huge component of why I love this industry. I jumped on the initiative and immediately moved from the East Coast to sunny Santa Barbara and have fallen in love with the industry, with the people and the community ever since.
We're so happy to have you here. And so let's kind of move into more the big picture about how an e-bike share program like B-Cycle can really impact a community. What's the potential here?
So if we convert 15% of people who normally drive cars and get them onto e-bikes full term, that's a 12% drop in carbon emissions to our world, or to the community specifically. And that's huge. That's double digits. Without the kind of traffic that cars normally build up, I know like Carpinteria and areas like Goleta, come 4 or 5 p.m., the traffic is pretty large. And Santa Barbara is such a special dynamic community because there's so many bike paths. I mean, from Santa Barbara to Goleta to Carp to Summerland, it is so bike friendly. And so people are naturally driven to want to live here, to bike. I mean, I would say the number of cyclists here versus New York or Boston, given those are bigger cities, is way more dominant than most cities in the United States. And people want to be outdoors. That's why they moved to Santa Barbara. And bike share absolutely feeds into that.
Over time, like once a bike share program takes hold, it can really influence from that point other infrastructure that's built, just amplifying that accessibility that community members have to move throughout the town easily. And something that I was reading, actually a Harvard study that I thought was super interesting, is that, this ability to commute and get across town is also connected with financial mobility and social mobility within a community. When transportation gets in the way of people getting to work and getting to social functions, overall that can have a cumulative and negative effect. So it really begins to open doors, I think, for a community to be more collaborative and interactive. And that's so exciting.
Absolutely. I can speak to that. B-Cycle is a 250 electric bike share program with 500 docks all throughout Santa Barbara County. Now we started on State Street downtown. Our goal is to expand to the west side, east side. We already have stations on the east and west side, but we really want to make transportation within those smaller areas accessible to people who in a different demographic don't have the means to travel. It's affordable. I mean, with our pricing structure, our annual member pricing structure, it's 30 minutes unlimited. So every time you check out a bike, it's 30 minutes unlimited. And the reason we came up with that is bike share is about getting from point A to point B. It's not supposed to be long, crazy rides. I mean, you can ride as long as you'd like, but really, especially in a city like Santa Barbara, where commuting and work are a factor, we really want people to take quick, easy trips to get them to where they need to be efficiently and cost effectively. And we aim to do that through our pricing structure.
I think what ends up happening with e-bikes and an e-bike movement within a community is that it kind of takes a village, right? So you offer the B-cycle offers the capacity to, have that spontaneous, movement within the city. And then for those people who want to do the longer rides, the tours, that kind of thing, there's a whole micro industry that there's some of that already here in Santa Barbara, but it helps support that industry too.
We want to support those rental bike share companies. They have been like Wheels of Fun, Fast Track, eBikery. We are huge supporters. We have very different business models. We are hoping to drive people who are like, what's an e-bike? I don't know what it is. And test it out and then have them go and buy an e-bike at one of these stores, which all of these stores in Santa Barbara, all of these local stores offer. And it's amazing. So we really, again, support and always want to support local businesses, especially during COVID in these times.
So for people who are listening, our audience members who are listening and are thinking, wow, I would like to start a bike share program in my community, because we have a global audience really. So what were some of the challenges that you encountered in bringing this movement to Santa Barbara and getting it up off the ground? And how did you handle those challenges? How did you navigate them?
So B-Cycle has been wanting to bring bike share to the Santa Barbara community for the last 10 years. And the city finally approved having a bike share vendor back in May 2019. And then an RFP, request for proposal, went out to 3 different vendors. And in December 2019, B-Cycle successfully won that RFP. And, bike share was, let's go, let's rock and roll and put in an infrastructure that's going to support the city of Santa Barbara, the community, without taking away any of the bells and whistles that Santa Barbara has already had to offer with other transportation. And so, I think working with the city, I do that on a daily basis. We are very close partners. We know everything. And in terms of implementation, I would say that was a big challenge. Before I joined, I started with launching this program back in August 2019, and we already had stations and spots, locations scouted, and we had to completely resurrect and reconstruct that plan because of approvals from HLC, which is a Historic Landmark Committee, ABR, our architectural board review. Those boards did have purview to somewhat of what the design looked like, where some of the stations would go, and of course, respectfully wanting to work with them and collaborate. And so once we had to go through those approval processes, we had to completely start over. And so I would say that was a really big challenge and still is a challenge. Santa Barbara is a tiny city. It's, bike share in New York City and Boston and San Francisco, there's so much more room and to put docking stations. Santa Barbara is limited. However, people want to get on bikes. So we want to make that happen. People have emailed me, called me, hey, can we get docking stations here? We would do that. But however, there's pedestrian right of way. There's a lot of rules and regulations that people don't know behind the scenes that we have to obey. And if, rules and regulations of the city can be pretty strict, there's Parks and Rec, there's different departments that we're dealing with. And, if we decide to go in a park, we need to have a permit. So there's an entire application process. So I would say those are the biggest challenges we have faced since we've been on the ground here.
It sounds like for anybody who is thinking about starting this type of movement in their town, really coming at this with a collaborative mindset and really understanding who the stakeholders are and what the city's interests and concerns and vision for growth are. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can come in with all of our engines ignited, right? And be kind of forceful, but it's kind of important to find that tone and approach that where people can listen. And, it sounds like also being super patient too with the whole process, and having sustained effort is really important as well.
Yeah. And, you hit it on the nail: patience, consistency, and really developing those key relationships and building those relations with those, um, you know, political city figures is so important. And and lastly, I would say passion. You have to be passionate about this industry. It is about I tell people bike shares about putting out fires every single day. I put out fires every single day. I love that. That fuels me. So it's like when there's an issue or there's a limitation, bring it on, because I love working in those kinds of constraints. And that's what, I know this is very, very much an entrepreneurial podcast. So, you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You have to be able to switch at any second and not be, stressed, but also be patient and cognizant that there are other key factors and not necessarily make a rash decision right away. It's okay. Bike share's gonna happen. It's gonna evolve. Just give it time and space, and you'll start seeing the results, as we've seen across the US for the last 10 years.
One of the reasons for going this whole direction towards e-bikes is the sustainable, transportation. What is the overall environmental impact long-term of an e-bike program? Like, let's look at within the community, where it started.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I had alluded to earlier, carbon emissions, the decrease in carbon emissions will go down drastically if we have a bigger population out of cars and onto e-bikes. Secondly, global warming, it's happening, it's continuing to happen. As you see, like, I remember experiencing winters on the East Coast being delayed till January. It's real. It's truly real. So any kind of effort to really cut out gas and toxic emissions is going to be huge and instrumental in this process of really helping sustain the environment. And e-bikes, again, they're battery operated. There's no fuel or anything. So it's cleaner, it's safer.
Yeah. So one of the things that can happen, in industries when they're young and they're developing quickly, is that there can be a turnover in the technology where what is working one year becomes obsolete relatively quickly because things are evolving. There's new things coming to the market, new technology. People get a bike and they have it for a couple years and then it's obsolete. There can be this type of dynamic happening because the market is fairly diverse. There's not big players in the market yet that are totally dominating market share. So you have this capacity for smaller bike manufacturers to come in to do an Indiegogo, to, white label a bike that's available on Alibaba, right? So there can be this mindset that develops about, oh, it's just a throwaway bike, right? I'll get this bike now, and a few years down the road, that company has gone out of business. I can't get this serviced right now, right here where I am. So there can be that environmental impact if we're not wise about how we go about this. So do you have any suggestions to consumers, about how to approach this, and also any suggestions to other businesses for how to approach this so that we, are wise about the waste issue that can come up here.
As I was listening to you talk, I was just thinking about, in 2008, we started with pedal bikes. We didn't have e-bikes. We didn't have an e-bike partner like Bosch. Bosch came in with us in 2016 and partnered, and our docking stations were 1.0 stations, which include like all the docks are together. And so there's base plates, it's heavier, it's harder to put in the ground. And then there's these large enrollment kiosks attached, which are great because it really allows more interactivity within the bike system for a consumer who doesn't know what bike share is. So over the years, technology has completely changed and revolutionized the direction we've gone. And I would say that, for example, we don't have kiosks. People use their mobile app. They download the B-Cycle app. They use their mobile phone to check out the bike, and it's very seamless and they're good to go. And I would say that it's really important, like even from my past experience, we continued to focus on our product and making sure it was, evolutionary and it was keeping up with the times. And we were so focused on that we lost sight of what was like our intention and what was our purpose. And it was really to, again, make riders have an exceptional experience on a bike. And so I think it's really important and key for people to think about, how much energy and time and money is spent on the product, what their goals are. So if their goal is to make the best e-bike ever, absolutely do that. But that means that they may not be the best operators, right? And so resource and outsource to a different company that can do that. Know your limitations, know what you can do and what you can't do. And if you can't do it, it's absolutely okay because someone can do it and can do it better. And so I think it's really important to, be open to any other vendor coming in because you can learn from them. Don't see other companies are not a threat. Everyone's doing their own thing and trying, when you're in the bike share industry, you want to help, you want to make an impact. Yes, it's about bottom line. Yes, it's about profit. We are a, for-profit company, but at the end of the day, the only way we're going to exceed is to make customer experience, really, really strong and make sure we have a great product out there and continue to stay on the same track. Have one goal in mind and crush it. Then have another goal and crush it. Don't have multiple goals. Whether it's rebuilding the bike or rebuilding the dock infrastructure.
You are immersed in e-bikes from day to day. And we have an entrepreneurial audience here. What are some of the problems or complaints you hear, not so much about your company or your particular bikes,
Sure.
but just kind of overall with e-bikes? Like, what are the areas of innovation and improvement? Maybe any new products and services, anything like that you see?
Yeah, I think across the board, since I came from another micromobility company, checkout systems, making sure the bike can be easily checked out within like under 2 seconds. Our B-Cycle and our engineers are constantly working on checkout times and making sure that it's seamless and efficient. Again, you're having two different technologies communicate. Our docks have a Verizon communication tower because they're running separately than the bikes. And so when you have two technologies intersecting, it's, you have to make sure and be aware that you're dealing with both products collaboratively to function. And so I would say across the board, it's having that that exceptional experience of being able to easily download an app, check out the bike, know what the membership prices are. It's all about marketing and promoting your product and being simple about the messaging. You do not need to complicate it. I think people can make it as complicated as possible. There's so many intricacies to like how our batteries are built or how systems are structured, but it's not about that. It's about having a person get on a bike and ride and enjoy the experience. So how can we do that in a very simple way?
I think you brought up batteries there. I think one of in terms of like bikes themselves and products associated with the bikes, I think the thing that's the state of the batteries right now with e-bikes is that the industry is not yet big enough for there to be, battery companies that are focusing just on the development and technology for e-bikes alone. And there's more of a trickle down effect from technology that develops, in other areas that then comes into e-bikes. And so one of the challenges is keeping that weight of the battery down, but keeping the charge that it can carry, the range that a person can go up. So developing new technology that allows a battery to do that. I think that once this continues to evolve, that there might be specific applications,
Absolutely. I've had a few battery startup companies approach me and say, hey, I think we have the best battery. It's going to last long. And, we've been working with our battery vendor for a while. We're really stuck on that, and we're going to continue to work with them because we do believe we have the best battery. And as you say, yeah, that's the challenge, is like, how can you continue to make it charge longer where it's more efficient?
Our time is going quickly, but how about if we take some questions from the audience? Although you did mention bigger cities tend not to be as safe a biking town as Santa Barbara, are you still considering to expand the accessibility of e-bikes in bigger cities for tourists biking around, or for people with no cars to enjoy riding around their city?
Oh, absolutely. So B-Cycle owns and operates now with Santa Barbara 39 B-Cycles across the United States. We're owned and operated by Trek Bicycles. John Burke is our founder. He's amazing. We just did a ride earlier, and his goals and vision for the company is to just blow it out of the water. So whatever city needs bike share or wants it, we will be there. So anyone who has an in a city or wants bike share, please reach out to me. I am more than happy to talk and help you guys through the process. That's what I'm here for, and I'm very excited about that. So yeah, B-Cycles it's not going to be limited to Santa Barbara. I mean, we are thinking Santa Barbara is just the start. We are hoping to expand to Goleta, Carpinteria, and then we do have a B-Cycle system in LA called Metro Bike. We're going to, continue doing what we're doing, which is fade out pedal bikes and really push out e-bikes, because that's where the demand is.
Jesse, thank you so much for being our guest. And I'm sure people want to be able to connect with you and connect with B-Cycles. What is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you guys can email me at Jessie_Rosenberg@bcycle.com. You guys can go to our B-Cycle website. That's santaBarbara.bcycle.com. Our Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're all over social media. So just tune into those. I know Julie and her team have those contacts, and feel free to give me a call as well. I'm totally available and want to help kind of support this industry and help other entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting their own bike shares or have an idea, even if it's different than bike share, because I love entrepreneurism is so much fun, and it can develop in different ways that you never knew. So go after your dreams, keep riding. And B-Cycle does have a promotion going on. We're really excited. So the first 50 annual members will get a personalized Electra helmet that says Santa Barbara B-Cycle with a little electric sign. And then the first 100 monthly members who sign up will get a sprinkled donut at Hook and Press, which is this boutique bakery in Santa Barbara. It's amazing. You guys have to try it. I just did a photo shoot with the owner, John Burnett. And so we are partnering with them, and we hope to have more partners. So anyone interested in partnering or sponsoring, we just want to have fun and be collaborative. So the floor is open.
Excellent, Jesse. Thank you so much again. And for our audience, we hope that this discussion supports your entrepreneurial journey and underscores the importance of everybody joining together globally in entrepreneurship, because definitely, we're better and stronger and more innovative together. And so join us next week at the same time. Until then, please share, like, subscribe, and tell other about us too, so that we can build our community. And have a great week, everybody. Stay strong and keep bringing your great ideas to life. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Thanks again, Jesse.
Thank you. Bye, guys.